Sometimes you just have no choice but to hear the music. Yeah, I'm still waiting on this video to be eligible to be published by YouTube. The checks are still going here, and we have the pre-loaded tweet as well. But aside from the Montreal Canadiens and Jordan Kyrou talk, what I wanted to do in this video was dive into what Elliotte Friedman had to say on what I believe is the final episode of 32 Thoughts on the Season. Something like that. Let's just quickly open the podcast in a new tab here and take a look. The season finale, that's what it is. 32 Thoughts with Elliotte Friedman and Kyle Bukauskas. Look at all of these teams that they go out there and talk about. It is a 3-hour and 5-minute show. Absolutely legendary, the Elliotte Friedman broadcasts always are, but all meandering aside, let's go out there and talk about the Red Wings notes at the 5302 mark of the podcast, courtesy of AgPuck303 on the Detroit Red Wings subreddit. Friedman ultimately spells out what I would say is the unfortunate truth about the Detroit Red Wings. He says Detroit wanted to make a pitch for Nikolaj Ehlers, but they were told no. Friedman says that Detroit is a hard sell because it's been too long without the playoffs. This was indeed expanded upon on other areas like Twitter and stuff, but I think enough info is written out over here. In regards to Nikolaj Ehlers, the guy wanted to go east for easier travel. Teams that made a pitch to him were Winnipeg, of course, Colorado, Utah, Washington, and obviously Carolina. The Western teams were told that Ehlers wanted to go out east, so it came down to Washington and Carolina. This also works in tandem with the other news that he had said here. Detroit wanted to be on this list. The Red Wings weren't, but they wanted to give a pitch out to this guy, but they were told no. It's difficult to get people wanting to come to Detroit because of the lack of playoff success, and this isn't really maybe too surprising when you fully acknowledge the idea, but it does hurt a little bit. For the longest time, I think the Detroit Red Wings were in a spot where the biggest sell for coming over to Detroit was the history. It's the long-tenured amount of success that has been a part of this organization for years and years and years, but of course, that success doesn't really bleed into what has happened lately with the Detroit Red Wings. It's just history and a lot of long-term identity. Unfortunately, though, that is not what the Red Wings have gone through this recent season or even the seasons before that. It's been so long without the playoffs, and so it's a lot more difficult to sell players, on the idea of this team being super competitive and on the cusp when you have other teams that are playoff teams like Washington or Carolina making pitches instead. This was expanded upon on the top comment on the post here. DS Junior 1388 says, "It's been clear to me since last summer, when Yzerman only signed 2-year deals, that he is just working his draft picks into the roster. And the only first-round pick that doesn't look rock solid right now is Kosa, and that's because goalie development is by far the most difficult to project. I follow Kosa and Grand Rapids quite closely. What would you say are the criticisms here? I have no criticisms. He is not in the NHL yet. That's it. He could be 3 months away or 3 years away because goalies are unpredictable. That's all I'm saying. But I don't take it as a great sign that he was relegated to backup in the playoffs." Now, this, of course, is talked about on a few other things here. Akazigon64 says, Yzerman is getting better. Okay, we will expand more on that. Let's dive into some of the other thoughts that Friedman had in regards to the Detroit Red Wings. No doubt Patrick Kane was staying. Okay, interesting. Maybe Friedman has some other insider information that we are not aware of, but I honestly thought it was kind of up in the air. I was like, okay, maybe it's closer to 40-60 that he leaves. Maybe more 50-50. Like, I honestly didn't really get too good of a read on it. I wasn't really following the tea leaves as much as some of the other folks were, but Friedman said, no doubt, Patrick Kane was staying. That's interesting to me. Here are some things that the Red Wings tried to do. They were interested in Victor Arvidsson, who played well under Todd McLellan in LA. They also really liked Mason Marchment. These guys, of course, were a part of different transactions. Marchment traded over from Dallas to Seattle, and Victor Arvidsson ended up, where did he sign again? I need to get my memory refreshed. Victor Arvidsson signed with Boston. I saw Boston right there, but the mustard yellow of the John Russell NHL Getty Images post kind of confused me. Sorry, folks. Yeah, he went to Boston. Shipping out to Boston. And yeah, it seems like the Red Wings were interested in getting both of these guys. They were not able to do so. Again, it's kind of difficult to sell other folks on Detroit because of the lack of playoff success. Unless it's a big free agent like Nikolaj Ehlers, the Red Wings were not willing to do 4 to 5 year term and block the prospects. Friedman said Yzerman is betting his reputation on the kids he drafted and developed. That's really good, I would say. The Red Wings have already gone through a pretty decent amount of term with other free agent signings over the years, so that is not ideal, I would say, when you're trying to get these younger guys incorporated into the lineup as we go out there and publish the most previous video on the channel. I think this is pretty refreshing for Red Wings fans to go out there and see that they're not willing to dive into these 4 or 5 year deals for free agents. They want to let these kids get into the lineup and hopefully make some damage here and save Yzerman's reputation too. Friedman also goes out there and talks about Vladimir Tarasenko. The guy was not happy, and it was better for both sides to move on. Hence the trade over to the Minnesota Wild for a reasonably small amount of value in return. Although I will say, there is value in freeing up the roster spot, there is value in freeing up the money. JVR can essentially replace Tarasenko, I guess you could say that, and he's a lot cheaper too, so it makes sense on that respect. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing here that Friedman talks about is that Nick Ehlers update. The Red Wings wanted to go after and pursue Ehlers, but they weren't even given a chance to sign up for that race. They did not meet the qualifications. Ehlers did not even want to think about the Detroit Red Wings. It was Washington or Carolina as the final 2 teams here, and ultimately he made his choice with the Canes. Let's go out there and read some of these other comments here. Yzerman is betting his reputation on the kids he drafted and developed. Happy to hear this. This is his strength. Hope we can see as many new kids as last year. Todd certainly seemed more receptive of them than Derek Lalonde was. They were not willing to do 4 to 5 year term and block the prospects. It's why I'm glad we didn't sign someone meddling. We're at 13 forwards, and if you don't include Watson and 2 of those are Soder and Mazur, there's a chance for the kids to play this year. Man, players' agents really do blab a lot if Friedman was privy to information this specific. It's an issue, for sure, using social media and beat writers as leverage here. It used to be that Florida was a hard sell, Vegas, they'll never win a cup, Winnipeg, no one wants to play there. Many clubs have been undesirable places to play, and they have succeeded. The Jets haven't won a cup yet, and do have a problem getting free agents to go there, but they've managed despite that. Detroit will start winning again, and once that happens, free agents will start wanting to come here. It's really not a new thing, Band of Gypsies says. Players are always going to prioritize contending teams. Save perhaps wildly overpaying, we're simply feeling that right now. Our best bet to see near-term skill injections is through the right fit trade scenarios. Otherwise, we need to find success from within and then build from that. Frankly, the Wings are not far off, but until that happens, there are plenty of other successful teams, what in the world, that players would love to join. Might want to proofread that last sentence here, yeah. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Steve Yzerman and his plan. What are your thoughts on Friedman's commentary here on the matter? The Wings wanted to sign Ehlers. They weren't even given a ticket to enter the race. They want to go out there and use the young guys, and they had a few other dudes that they were chasing, but they were not able to get involved with. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all these Friedman updates on the Red Wings. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.